Good evening, and thank you for being here for such an important event this evening. First of all, we never want to forget the reason behind Memorial Day. First of all, we want to thank all the families of those who have sacrificed their families for the cause of our freedom, the soldiers who have given their lives that we may be here today. Today we've gathered as a partnership of agencies, those agencies being the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, the Clarksville Police Department, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and the Governor's Highway Safety Office. Though there may be many uniforms represented here today, there's one common goal. And that goal is that over this Memorial Day weekend, that the streets and highways of Montgomery County and Clarksville will be safe for everyone to travel. Our motivation comes from several places, but the one that comes to our mind the most as we are now in the middle of the Click It or Ticket campaign is the 371 fatalities that have occurred on Tennessee roadways through May. Of those 371 fatalities, only 162 of those were wearing seatbelts. Last year, at this same time, there were 337 fatalities. Of those, only 134 were wearing seatbelts. 6 of those fatalities this year have occurred right in this area of Montgomery County. This year, even though we've seen a decrease in April and May, we're committed to safer highways and fewer fatalities for the rest of the year. As a result of that commitment, we have a unified message for the residents of Montgomery County and Clarksville this weekend. Wear your seatbelts. Drink soberly and responsibly, and don't speed. Obey the laws of the road. At this time, I want to introduce a couple of agencies. Those agencies have been very vital partners of the Governor's Highway Safety Office over the last several years. The first person I want to introduce is Chief Frankie Gray of the Clarksville Police Department.
Clarksville Police Department is very happy to be a partner with these very, very, very professional agencies here. We just want everybody to enjoy the weekend, enjoy the Memorial holiday, but those people that choose to not wear their seatbelt, to speed, to not be responsible and drink and drive when they've had too much, those are the people that we will be targeting. We're happy to be working with these other agencies, and we are going to make Montgomery County and Clarksville safe this weekend. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Sheriff Lewis and the rest of the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, I want to thank everyone for their participation and cooperation with the Governor's Highway Safety Office programs. It's programs like this that brings to light a lot of the priorities for law enforcement. We sometimes get too tied up with responding to calls for service. We forget that speeding, driving impaired, and failure to wear safety belts are the reason we have so many traffic accidents and fatalities out on the roadways. Programs like this helps keep our priorities in check and hopefully provide for safer roads over this holiday weekend. As Chief Gray said, that we do want people to enjoy themselves. It is the first major holiday of the summer. It's going to be some great weather, but we have to be responsible and help take care of each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Smith. Also with us is someone who makes so many things happen across the state of Tennessee, and that is our Director of the Governor's Highway Safety Office, Kendall Poole.
Thank you. We really appreciate the members of the media being here today, and we've been all across the state this week. Been in Johnson City, we've been in Chattanooga, came to Clarksville today, and the message stays the same across all 95 counties. We're out to save lives, and it sounds cliche. Everybody knows us through Booze It and Lose It and Click It or Ticket, but the men and women of the Clarksville Police Department, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, and the Tennessee Highway Patrol are the people that make us successful. They help save lives all across the state of Tennessee. You've seen all the messages and all the articles recently about fatalities being on the rise. Let's put that in perspective. Over the course of the last 7 years in the state of Tennessee, all 95 counties, all roadways in the state of Tennessee, we are down almost 33% in a 7-year period. That's 1 in 3 lives that have been saved over that 7-year period. Now we've had a slight spike this year in 2012. In January, in February, in March, we were up 50 as opposed to the same time last year in comparison. And we know it was because we had the warmest winter on record in 40 years. And when the weather's warmer, people are driving. They're driving more. And unfortunately, most people will tell you that more people are dying. Well, the men and women of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, led by Colonel Tracy Trott, the men and women of the Clarksville Police Department, led by Chief Ansley, and the men and women of the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, led by Sheriff Norman Lewis, are going to make sure that just because the weather is warm and there are more people out driving, and it is the Memorial Day weekend, that it doesn't necessarily have to be true that more people die on our roadways. And we do that a variety of different ways. We do it through education, through Booze It and Lose It and Click It or Ticket and all the media messages that you see. We do it through engineering, and TDOT, led by Commissioner John Schroer, make sure that our roadways themselves are actually physically safe. We do it through enforcement, and the men and women that you see behind us making sure that our message is heard, and they're backing up that message with strong enforcement all across the state of Tennessee. And the fourth E that I want to recognize today is that of emergency response, and the paramedics and the EMS are all represented here today, and we want to make sure that they know that their jobs are very important, that golden hour that we refer to all the time, in making sure that we get the services there that they need if in fact a crash does occur. All of those things working together make us successful in the state of Tennessee. And I'm here to tell you, this kicks off what we call our 100 Days of Summer Heat campaign. And Memorial Day through Labor Day, we are committed as a state of Tennessee, as engineers, as enforcement, as emergency responders, as educators, to make sure that we reach our goals of fewer people dying on our roadways in the state of Tennessee. We set some lofty goals every year. And this year, the State Strategic Highway Safety Plan says that by the end of this calendar year, we will have fewer than 900 fatalities. Well, you just don't snap your fingers and that's done. It takes commitment. It takes commitment by public servants all across the state of Tennessee and all 95 counties. And I'm very, very, very proud to say that we're glad to be a partner with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, and with the Clarksville Police Department. It makes a difference. And particularly since Clarksville and Montgomery County are located directly adjacent to the state of Kentucky, we also do what we call Hands Across the Border events at this time every year. In fact, our enforcement event that will occur tonight, that Tony Burnett referred to a minute ago, is going to take place right here. And it's going to make sure that people know that death doesn't know any boundaries. Death doesn't know any state boundaries, whether it's Tennessee and Kentucky, or whether it's Tennessee and Georgia, or North Carolina, or Virginia, or Mississippi, you name it. Death doesn't know any boundaries, and we're here to make sure on both sides of the line that the laws are enforced. Let me mention two things quickly. One has already been referred to, and that's seatbelt use. You heard Tony give the numbers on seatbelt use. Seatbelt usage in the state of Tennessee, thanks in large part to educational efforts and efforts by the law enforcement folks behind us, mean that Tennessee is at an all-time high in seatbelt usage. 87.4% of Tennesseans are now wearing their seatbelts in the state of Tennessee, and that's great. It's fantastic. We want to get that number up to 90% and above, all the way up to 100%. But the truth of the matter is that last year and again this year, the people that are dying on our roadways are simply not buckling up. 55% of our fatality crashes across the state of Tennessee are unbelted fatalities. Well, I'm not a mathematician, but I can tell you that that means that over half of our fatalities are coming from fewer than 15% of our population. So seatbelt usage is preeminent in our efforts across the state of Tennessee to make sure that we save lives. I also want to mention motorcycle fatalities in the state of Tennessee. Motorcycle fatalities are up this year as well, albeit only slightly. But over the course of the last 10 years, although overall fatalities have decreased, motorcycle fatalities have doubled at that same rate. And we ran some numbers last week with the Department of Safety, and of the 39 motorcycle fatalities at that time, 13 of those were cruisers, whether they be Harleys or Honda Goldwings or cruising bikes. 26 of those were what we refer to as sport bikes across the state of Tennessee. And if you are a motorcycle operator, please make sure you obey the rules of the road. If you are a driver, make sure you are aware of motorcycles on the road. Ladies and gentlemen behind me that represent all of the agencies that are here today are committed to making sure that we enforce all of the laws. And the predominant goal, the overriding goal that we all have in mind is that we're here to save lives in the state of Tennessee. We've been successful, and we're going to continue to be successful across the state of Tennessee, not only during Memorial Day weekend, not only during the 100 days of summer heat, not only during Labor Day, but all throughout the course of the year. We're going to address impaired driving in a big way. And impaired driving does not mean just alcohol anymore. Prescription drug use, narcotics use in the state of Tennessee. We've got several drug recognition experts that are represented by these agencies here that will be able to tell if you are impaired on something other than alcohol. And you will go to jail if you choose to operate a motor vehicle in an unsafe manner. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and listening to our message today. Thank you so much to the Clarksville Police Department, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Highway Patrol for being great partners in the Governor's Highway Safety Office. We could not do it without partnerships all across the state of Tennessee. And with the population that has boomed in Montgomery County and Clarksville over the last several years, Clarksville is a major priority for us as we move forward in saving lives across the state of Tennessee. Thank you very much.
We also have with us today the law enforcement administrator for the Governor's Highway Safety Office. He makes a lot of these meetings. He knows a lot about highway safety, and he makes a lot of these events and is committed to the people whose feet are on the ground. Richard Hope.
I'm going to kind of break tradition here just a little bit, and I don't mean to be rude to you all, but I need to talk to these people right here, and I want to look at them eyeball to eyeball. So if you want to move around over here, feel free to. So I'm going to kind of turn my back on you. You've heard said, and we all know that this month is an important month in our calendar year. It starts the summer vacation season. It's a time that we recognize our service people that have fallen or have served us to keep our liberty. We fall into that same category, us as law enforcement. This is my 39th year in law enforcement. And this is one of the most exciting things that I've been involved in my career in law enforcement, is working with the Governor's Highway Safety Office, working in traffic safety. And I want to say that you guys that are here today are you're where the rubber meets the road. You're one of our most important assets to us. You're very important. Your families are important. But you're out there protecting the families that we never know. In the ticket you may write or the arrest you may make, we'll never know about the life that saves. The life that we save, we'll never hear their last rites. and we'll never hear about it on the afternoon news. But you're making a difference in doing that. And today I went to the Tennessee Highway Patrol's cadet graduation ceremony. We have 44 new troopers that are on the road today, and I want to congratulate that class. It's class 512, and it was a good bunch of recruits that are out, and I wish them the best. But we've got 44 more allies out there with us today. Colonel Trott and Commissioner Schroyer and the Deputy Commissioner have been so helpful to us and to all of us. The partnership and the relationship is better than it's ever been in my career, and it's outstanding. But I want to say to you today, you're important. And wearing a seatbelt, it's a $10 ticket. But I heard our friend from the north up in Kentucky say yesterday, it's a responsibility. It's a personal responsibility. It's a personal responsibility for us as law enforcement officers to wear our seatbelts all the time. We've lost one this past week in a fatal crash, unnecessarily. I don't want that to happen to anybody else. It's important too that we set the example and we wear our seatbelts all the time. And from the law enforcement side of the Governor's Highway Safety Office, you're very much appreciated, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.